Hello, I'm Endurance. This is oddFelix and a pool of artists. I hope you enjoy yourself and learn something new. Welcome.
Hey yo, my name is Odd, and you're currently listening to that podcast where we'll talk about the music industry. I hope you've listened to some of our previous episodes. You learn so much if you do. Today, I'll be telling you so many things about royalties from music streaming services so you can be guided and know how to tailor your expectations. But before we do, I should remind you to check out a couple of my works available on all major music streaming services. I'm oddFelix on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, and everywhere my works are available. Also, at the end of today's episode, I have some announcements for you, so you might want to stick around until the end. Again, today I'm talking about royalties. It will be one of those topics that eat up 2 or more episodes. This is the first, and I'll try to keep it as short and simple as my amazing self will allow me to. Also note that as we get closer to the end of this episode, you will hear a lot of figures and calculations. Don't be confused. It's just me trying to help you understand how royalties work. So now let's talk about it. Like everything we'll talk about, we'll want to start with the definition of the keyword. So let's do just that. What are royalties? Royalties are monies paid to a person for using something they own. Yeah, that's just it. Money paid to you for the use of something you own. It could be a certain amount, it could be a percentage of the money made from using what you own. But how it works is that you have something, someone else uses it to make money, and then he gives you a share of the money. That share he gives to you is called royalties. So when it comes to music streaming services, what you own is the music. They use your music to provide entertainment for their users, and a certain part of the money made from subscriptions is given back to you. If you don't understand what royalties mean at this point, go back some seconds and listen again. If you do, let's move on to how royalties are calculated. Now, different stores have different ways of calculating royalties, but this is the formula most of them use. All the money made in a certain month is thrown into a giant pot. Then a share is kept for the streaming services to use to keep running, while the rest is shared among the artists based on some kind of ratio. The figures considered in the ratio are the number of streams your songs have in that month. I'll give you an example to help you understand it better. Figures are about to come up, so get prepared. Let's say John Bellion and the Minio are the only artists on Spotify, and for that month, from our subscription, Spotify makes $100. And in this month, Andiminio has a total of 20 streams while John has 50. What Spotify will do is keep a certain percentage of the $100 made, I think 30. So $30 goes to Spotify and only $70 is left for the artists to share. Now, the ratio basis for sharing this money between Andy and John will be 20:50 because of the number of streams they've had. Mathematicians, get in here. Going with this, John will have about $50 and Andy goes home with 20. Yeah, things like where your streams come from, is it a first or a third world country, how many people are streaming your work, are your 1,000 streams from only one person or from 300 plus people, and other things could affect the amount of money you make in royalties. But primary, the ratio basis is how royalties are shared. Some services have other factors that influence how your royalties are shared. Tidal, for example, could give a certain percentage of your Hi-Fi Plus subscription to the artist you stream the most every month, according to what I saw on their site. And I like it, but most of you don't use Tidal, and those among you who do don't use Hi-Fi Plus, and those among you who do don't have me among your most streamed artists, but it's all good. I'll be fine. Let's move on. I believe I've talked about the most basic part of royalties, so I'll go on to other important details to help you understand how royalties work better. Let's start with the idea of earning a certain amount per stream. If you go online to read about royalties, you'll see some sites that estimate how much you receive per stream or for every 1,000 streams on different platforms. I respect what they do, but I'd have to ask you not to believe that information because no store pays per stream. Your streams are a certain percentage of total streams on that platform, and that's what you earn on. The percentage your streams make up, not the actual number of streams, is what you earn on. So it's not just your streams that determine how much you earn, but also the streams of other artists. See every stream by another artist as a threat to the amount of money you'll earn in royalties. Let's make it a bit easier. Let's say all other conditions like number of paid subscriptions that a service has in a month are the same in January and February 2022. If the total number of streams for all artists on Spotify in January were 1,000 and mine were 200, and in February the total was 1,500 and mine were still 200, I will earn less in February because the ratio doesn't favor me as much as it does in January. In January, the ratio would give me 20% of the whole pie, but in February I'll be getting about 13%. Also, the number of subscriptions a certain music service has in a month can determine how much your royalties will be. So, if in January 100 million people subscribed to Spotify and in February 80 million people did, if all other conditions remain the same, you will have less money in royalties in February. This is where I'll stop for today. Next week we'll talk more about royalties. We'll talk about the stores that tend to pay more royalties and why. We'll talk about things you can do to increase how much you earn in royalties. We'll talk about more. If you're using Spotify to listen to this episode, you can swipe up and drop a question, and I'll try to answer it in the next part of this topic. I'm about to sign out, but before I do, I love to ask you to check out this podcast. Sweet and Sour Podcast is a space for young adults and teenagers between the ages 16 and 25 who want to become improved versions of themselves. Listen to them if you want to learn more, if you want to grow. They have episodes on goal setting, time management, and other things that will help you to be and stay productive. It's hosted by my fam, Abdul Mumuni Hikmat. That name, I'm still learning to pronounce it. Abdul Mumuni Hikmat, and you can find episodes of Sweet and Sour Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you should know that I'm working on new singles. 26 years is being worked on, and it will be hitting everywhere on the 18th of August. Oddmas is coming, and I hope you're ready. More details will be available as time draws closer. Remember to check out my works on all major streaming services. Listen to them again, and listen to them again. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'll be back next week for us to finish up with the talk about royalties. If there's too much to say, we might have to add more episodes to the topic, but let's hope we don't get to that, so we can move on to other things. So, see you around. My name is Odd, and I love you.
Hello, Dion.
And I'm Felix. This is oddFelix and the Pool of Artists.
I hope you enjoyed yourself and learned something new. Bye.